Vineet Jain ji, Professor Shiv Goenka ji, Dr. Sunil Saxena ji, all the other distinguished and esteemed faculty members of Bennett University, all the dear students, and all the international participants in this very important and prestigious webinar being organized at a very, very critical time, not only in India's history, but I think in the global history also. I am happy that, like always, the Times Group is in the forefront of trying to help the society through various possible means and has been in the past also educating people, motivating people, flagging many social and important public health issues before the country, and not only flagging them but also in a sustained manner spearheading a campaign. Right now, if I talk about COVID, the Masks India campaign that has been launched by you, I think it's every bit of help coming from any quarter in any form is certainly adding some great quality to the success that we are likely to achieve in this moment of crisis. First of all, after having congratulated you for this particular initiative, I may give you a brief introduction of how and when this COVID came to India and of course to the whole world, and how have we started responding to it. I feel pleasure and of course pride in telling you that India is the first country in the whole world to have reacted and started acting on the news of the discovery of a new coronavirus in China. If we go back just about 3 months from now, for the first time, China had reported to the whole world that they are seeing some cases of pneumonia which had unknown etiology, which they were not able to pinpoint what is the cause of the disease. And this they had reported to the whole world on 31st of December 2019. Then within 7 days of that, China reported to the whole world and more particularly to the World Health Organization on 7th of January that they have been able to establish the cause, and they found that there was a new coronavirus which has emerged out of maybe mutation of the older viruses, and that is the cause of all the respiratory illnesses and cases of pneumonia in their country, and more particularly in the Wuhan area or the Wuhan province. You will be happy to know that we got this information on 7th of January. In this ministry itself, that is my Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Government of India, on 8th January itself, we called a meeting of all our experts, which was led by the Director General Health Services, and we even invited experts from the World Health Organization. And we started discussing and deliberating upon the possible outcomes or possible effects that India or maybe the other countries in the world may face from this particular news, because this was a new virus, and with our previous experience of having responded to the earlier viruses. We have handled SARS, we know about H1N1. In 2014 itself, I was the Union Health Minister here, and we did not allow Ebola virus to enter the country. In 94, I was Health Minister in Delhi, and at that time, I had, I would say, the privilege of handling the epidemic of plague, which had affected our country, and it had affected mainly two cities, Surat in Gujarat and the capital of India, Delhi. So, and then last year itself, 2019, when I joined as Union Health Minister in Modi ji's second tenure, I was welcomed with the arrival of Nipah virus in Kerala. And with the type of robust integrated disease surveillance system that we have developed in this country over the last few years, which ultimately helped us in the eradication of polio and its certification by WHO in recent years, we were pretty confident that if we use our skills and if we use our manpower and our trained professionals, so that's how we could earlier handle Ebola, not allowed to enter it, and then for Nipah we did not allow it to travel from Kerala to other places. So we, with those past experiences, were quite conscious and quite aware that even if something is appearing in China, we cannot wait, we cannot close our eyes, and we cannot wait till the time something happens anywhere else. So that's where our preparations started on 8th of January itself. In the next 7-8 days, we had developed a detailed health preparedness plan for the whole country. And you will all feel happy to know that on 17th of January itself, we had communicated with all the state health secretaries and the health departments, and we communicated the detailed health preparedness plan to them, that if something happens, how are we going to handle it. We started a community surveillance program. Our IDSP and our NCDC, that's our National Disease Control Department, that is, we put all of them into action. We took a decision that we will immediately start screening of all passengers coming from China and Hong Kong, and this will be done at our 7 major airports in the country. We started with Calcutta, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai and Kochi. And all these passengers were being screened, and we started with a thermal screening, taking their detailed histories and ensuring that we are putting relevant people into community surveillance. At any point of time, we had thousands of people who were under community surveillance, and if I talk to you today, in today's date, we have more than 7 lakh people in the country who are under our direct observation, about whose activity from day to night we are aware of any development of symptoms, etc. So this is all what we started about these screenings, surveillance, and of course giving detailed advisories to the states to make them prepare for anything that might happen. It was only on 30th of January that the World Health Organization, I think by that time we had our first case in India, which was from Kerala, a medical student who had come back. But because of our surveillance and because of our screening at the airports, we could track the detailed history of this patient. We did a detailed contact tracing of the patient, and you will feel so happy to know that for this first patient, our contact tracing, right from the time when this passenger, who was a medical student, boarded in China, to the time she entered her house in Kerala, in which she changed 2 flights, 2 hotels, 2 taxis, scooters, and so many things. We had located 162 contacts of hers, including people who sat behind her and who sat in front of her in the flight from China to India. We had already done all this, and till that time, WHO had not declared it as an emergency of international concern, which it did only on 30th of January. Then we kept on following the whole issue in the first week of February. The Prime Minister made a group of ministers headed by me, which had other ministers like the External Affairs Minister, the Minister for Civil Aviation, the Minister for Pharmaceuticals, Minister from my colleague Minister from the Home Ministry, and a set of distinguished senior secretaries of the Government of India. Till now we have had 11 meetings of the group of ministers. The 11th one was held today morning itself. From time to time we started, depending upon the emerging scenario across the globe, because we know that starting from China, the disease has traveled to almost all parts of the world, and today we have 202 countries which are affected by the disease. From time to time we kept on deliberating in the GOM. We kept on issuing fresh advisories for travel. We improved upon our previous advisories, which ultimately culminated on 21st March in fact giving an advisory where we banned all international travel into India. During the course of this period, the Prime Minister monitored everything personally. The Cabinet Secretary monitored everything personally. Almost on a bi-weekly basis, almost on every day, I used to have telephonic conversation with all the health ministers of the country, video conferences with the health ministers. Our health secretary had regular video conferencing with the health secretaries, all officials, and right now, even at the highest level, cabinet secretary is having video conferencing regularly with the DMs of the whole country. It's a long story of how we monitored everything. When we had the first case reported in Nepal, I think within few hours of that case being reported in Nepal, that was in the initial stages, we started screening at our borders in the states adjoining Nepal like Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bihar, West Bengal and Sikkim, and also in the neighboring districts. We had Gram Sabhas in almost at 5,000 places. At the borders with Nepal, we screened over 20 lakh people. We screened over 15,000 flight passengers and must have screened 15.5 lakh passengers at our various, that's 30 international airports in the country. We started screening at the seaports also, some 12 major ports and 65 non-major ports. There also we screened about over 45,000 people. So this is all about screening. We kept a close watch on everything that's happening all across the world and within our country. Today, I can say with the utmost conviction that in terms of any statistics or any data, whether it is the doubling rate or whether it is the cases per million, in the whole world our cases per million is just about 3.8, which is the lowest in the whole world right now, and our doubling rate is 4.5 days. But the good thing is that a majority of the districts in the whole country, they still remain unaffected. And these 5,000 odd cases that we have in the country after our first case, which was reported in the last week of January, we have pinpointedly, we know that where these cases belong to. These are in 133 districts which we have called as hotspots, and out of these 133 hotspots, we have in 19 states and 75 districts, almost over 80% of the total cases of the whole country. Then there are 15 districts in 10 states with cases where we have a high population density. And then also we have 43 additional districts with greater than 80% cases in every state. So we right now know what are our hotspots. These are these 133 districts. With the able support of the state governments and the health officials, and of course aided by the total government machinery, we are now having a very aggressive containment strategy. For some districts where we have more than 15 cases, we are having a large outbreak containment strategy, and for places where we have less than 15 cases, we have a cluster containment strategy, which is being implemented with utmost vigor, with meticulous monitoring. And our monitoring is, say, it's not on a daily basis, it is on an hourly basis. And the monitoring doesn't happen only in the health ministry by the health minister or his officers, but it happens at multiple other places, including, as I said, by the Prime Minister's office and also by the Cabinet Secretariat. You will be happy to know that a couple of years back, for testing for such viruses, the samples used to be flown to America for their results. And we had one prestigious institution, National Institute of Virology in Pune. In the initial week, we started expanding our laboratory network, and we started with 15 labs. And today, when I am talking to you after 2 months, we have established around 159 government labs, and almost 60 private labs have also been assigned the job of doing the testing for the virus. This is the present status. for ensuring that everyone in the country whosoever has to actually be a part of active involvement in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic. We spent a lot of our time and effort in capacity building, and we must have at least trained a few lakh people, starting from the staff which was there on the airports, the aviation crews, because in spite of difficult times, we brought back over 2,500 Indians and of course around 50 foreign nationals back from China, Italy, Iran, and of course Japan, who were stranded there due to many reasons. They were very robust training sessions, online and in person, where we trained during the course of these 2 months even our grassroots workers like the ASHA workers. Through teleconferencing, through telemedicine guidelines, we have got the contact established between patients and doctors, between patients and psychiatrists and psychologists, between doctors training, between doctors treating our COVID patients all over the country and the specialist doctors in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So we have taken care of issues like this also, to keep the country prepared about anything which happens in a negative direction. Say huge surge in cases. Right now you know that even Japan, Korea and China also are also having a surge in cases again. Yesterday also they reported cases. So we have prepared the whole country, dedicated hospitals for COVID, over 2 lakh isolation beds dedicatedly for not only COVID but in other facilities also, dedicated ICU beds, dedicated ventilators, and I would say that this COVID has come as a blessing in disguise in some form also, that earlier for the personal protective equipment for the doctors, these were all imported, and right now because of the COVID pandemic all over the world, there was initially a shortage of these PPEs because they were not being imported. So with the help of the Ministry of Textiles, now you'll be happy to know that we have been able to get 30 manufacturers in India who are now going to provide us with PPEs. We have already given enough number of these PPEs and N95 masks to all the states. We are replenishing their stores regularly, and from next week we shall be having about 10 lakh PPEs and adequate number of masks, etc., in the country to give ample quantities of them to the people who, especially the medical professionals who would require them. We have ordered for over 48,000 more ventilators. We all know that 80% of the cases of COVID, they are either very mild or they are asymptomatic, and they usually recover quite well. It is only 20% of the cases who would require either oxygen, or a few of them may require ICU, or a very few of them may require ventilators. So we have made adequate arrangements for imagining the worst possible scenario, which personally I don't feel it will come. We have made enough arrangements for oxygen cylinders, as I said, ventilators, beds and all those things, and of course specific drugs also. But I would, and on the sidelines, I happen to be incidentally the Minister for Science and Technology, where I handle CSIR, biotechnology and the science ministries. So there also our scientists are doing a lot of activities involving the younger people. We had a call for proposals where we received more than 500 proposals. India is amongst the 5-6 countries where we have isolated the virus and we have proceeded towards the development of vaccine. We are part of a WHO solidarity trial where we are working on vaccine, drug discoveries, etc. So all the scientific work that is also related to the management of COVID pandemic is also simultaneously going on. But through you, and of course, all those who are participating, and this I have been saying again and again, because as we all know that right now we don't have a vaccine for COVID, and there is no specific drug also. Although it is also true that most of the patients will get cured by symptomatic treatment. So I strongly feel that social distancing and lockdown, they are the most potent social vaccine at the moment. I just want to emphasize this point that as long as we don't have a vaccine, and even if we get a vaccine, that vaccine is going to save an individual. But right now the point that needs to be emphasized time and again with the people of the whole world is that social distancing, and right now in the present circumstances, lockdown where we advise everyone to stay at home and also maintain social distancing at home. Social distancing and lockdown, it remains the most potent social vaccine for us right now. And this is a point which needs to be underlined again and again. Even at the cost of repetition, everyone has to keep repeating it. People have to be advised about it. And then we would also like people to be advised that the PPEs and the N95 masks and the surgical masks, they are not to be worn by everybody. Although right now there is an advisory that when you go out of your home, you just keep your mouth covered with anything which you feel is worth it. A handkerchief can also help you. But the actual regular mask, they have to be used by health professionals. I would also like to use this occasion to thank all medical professionals, doctors, nurses, all the paramedics, and all those who are our frontline corona warriors in this fight against COVID, who are leading from the front. In spite of all the possible risks of getting infected themselves, they are leading the battle. They are putting their heart and soul into ensuring success for the battle. When some cases appear here and there, where doctors or the other health professionals are being insulted or being ostracized or being humiliated in the society due to some reason or the other, every day, in and day out, we hear such information. I think we have to name and shame such people. We have to, as a society, stand with the medical profession and ensure that such incidents don't happen in the society. I don't know how much time you had allotted for me. I know I must have taken much more than that, because there are so many aspects of this particular battle against COVID on which we are trying to fight with meticulous precision. I can talk and discuss about everything. But on behalf of the country, on behalf of my Prime Minister, on behalf of all my cabinet colleagues and particularly my own Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and all the state health ministers, I can assure all those who have joined us online from all other parts of the world that India is thoroughly equipped and India is putting its best foot forward. We have planned everything possible. We are in constant touch with the World Health Organization. In the last 2 weeks, I had video conferencing with all the health ministers of the whole world and also with the health ministers of the region. The World Health Organization has on record appreciated the actions initiated by the Government of India, the Ministry of Health, and they are also confident that India shall do well. We all need your good blessings, support, and in these times, one of the biggest challenge, apart from the fact that the challenge is fighting the coronavirus, one of my other challenges is fighting misinformation. So many things they keep floating on the social medias. No one thinks even once before putting a tweet or a news item without confirming or checking it from the reliable source. I can say with utmost confidence and conviction that for anyone who wants authentic information these days, the website of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, it has thoroughly comprehensive, complete, updated information. We try to update it at least twice a day. And we are receiving almost 22 crore hits every day because we provide the exact and the most correct information to the people of India. So I would request the Times Group also to help us in spreading the right information and delivering it to the people of India. That is, I think, equally important, as much important as taking care of the people who are getting affected with COVID. So with these few words, I once again thank you and express my gratitude on behalf of all my colleagues in the ministry. And we look forward to continuous support from the Times Group and the Bennett University in our war against COVID pandemic. Thank you so much.